Okay guys, so today I'm going to show you something that you will often need, and the solution is super easy. I'm sure that most of you already understand how to do it, but I'm just going to give you a few extra tips that might refine the way that you do it to make it more economical. So what I have here is a scene, I believe it's called the Blue Room. Out the back you can see the grey pattern of the construct, and the first thing I need to do is just turn that off. So I click into props, ground, and I make that invisible there. I could use that, leave that on to help with my Z depth, but we'll see how we get on with that as it is. So what I want to do is I want to use a photograph as a background so that out of this window it's visible. At the moment, if I render it, it'll just be this grey background color. Also, I'm going to change this background color to luminous green so that when I render, it's very easy to see where there's background or not. Sometimes when you do this, you can have dark bits of background, and it kind of gets confused with the billboard that you create. So, hi, Future Matt here. I forgot to explain why you might want to use billboard images out of Windows in the first place. And there are a couple of reasons. One is because you may not have a 3D scene that shows what you want out of the window, and windows look boring if they have nothing outside, unconvincing. But a far more important reason is that even if you have a scene that shows what you want out of the window, you know, a 3D scene, it doesn't justify the memory cost of having a complex scene, especially when you get onto landscapes and things like that, or cityscapes or whatever, where the memory size of background images can be really high. It often doesn't justify the memory cost of building a whole scene just to be a background out of a window. So it's far easier simply to use a billboard. And to be honest, very often it makes your scene more convincing than if you had a 3D scene out of the window. So it's just a little trick to help you make your scenes look better. The first thing I'm going to do is find a photographic background. And here, I'm just going to go to Google. Actually, let me take it all the way back to the start. I'm going to go to Google search and I'm going to click on night scene. I'm going to enter night scene as a subject. Then I'm going to click on images. Then I'm going to refine that search by clicking on tools and changing the size to large. I don't know what the threshold hit there is, but what it does is make sure that we get a nice high resolution image. I could then continue to refine so that I get rid of these or specifically choose. Strangely enough, it doesn't let you choose photograph. It just lets you choose clip art, line drawing, or GIF. But I'm going to do any type, and I'm going to choose this image, Mayjang River night scene. And then I'm going to click on that. Sometimes I can save from the previous level here and it will work. Sometimes it only saves a low resolution preview. And then I'm going to right click, save as, and I'm going to save this to my downloads folder, which I've already done. Okay, so now back to my scene, which has this bright green background. What I'm going to do, I'm not sure if Poser 13 still has a primitives folder, but I'm fairly sure it does. So I'm going to go into primitives and I'm going to find square. You don't need ground plane, you don't need high res. These are both subdivided into loads more parts, hundreds if not thousands of polygons which you don't need. So a single polygon square is fine, but these will work as well, they just take up more memory. So I choose square, double click, and that's in the scene, although you can't see it, it's down here somewhere. So what I'm going to do, so it's selected here, I'm going to change the name from square in properties. So here's how it would load into the scene. I'm going to change that to background. And now I'm just going to drag that up where I can see it. There. Okay, now this is a stage that you might not be aware of. So here's the image that I've saved, and I need to find out the parameters of that image. So I'm just holding the cursor over it, and it comes up as a pop-up there, and it says that the dimensions are 3072 by 2304 pixels. If that doesn't work on your machine, just right-click, do properties, and then do details, and you can see there 3072 2304. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide that by 10, so it's going to be 307 0.2 by 230.4. So 307.2. So what we do is we go to here and we take that background square that we created and we're going to scale that 307.2 by, what was the other dimension again? Why weren't you paying attention to me? 230.4 by 230.4. So 230.4. So this rectangle, this formerly a square, is now the same dimensions as the image. So what it means is that I won't have any distortion on this. So now what I do is I go into material and I'm going to create a new node, which is just going to be a texture node, image map, and I'm going to connect that to diffuse color, and I'm going to choose the background image that we wanted. So you can see that's very dark and then it's got some lights in it. Let me show you the image again. Okay. Sorry, there you go. Very dark night image with lights reflected from the low camera angle. So this next technique I'm going to show you is the bit that you may not be aware of, and it applies doubly so to night images. What we're going to do, going back to our image here, is we're also going to drag that to the ambient. What does ambient do? Well, ambient is a property of self-illumination. That means that the image provides its own light. So this scene here will act as an internal light for this. So think of it like an LED TV screen, for example. And initially, I'm going to set that value to 1. And just bear in mind, if you go above 1, it has the effect of washing out this image. There are times when you might want to do that, but for now, we're going to go to 1. If you're doing a daylight scene, this ambient value could be too high if you've got a brightly lit sky, so you may want to go lower. So I now have that image map mapped onto that square with the ambient and the diffuse both set to 1, which means 100%. And now, super easy, I've set the X and Y scale to the 10% of the dimensions of the image. And now, when I change the overall scale, it maintains that ratio. And it's very, very easy then to move that around. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to push that outside. In fact, first of all, I'm going to turn on the hierarchy editor and I'm going to turn off parts of that scene. So what do I need to turn off? I need to turn off this back wall. So this back wall is BL wall 6. So I'll just turn that off just so as I get an idea of what's going on behind. You may have to turn off a whole house if it doesn't have individual walls. This is really just for convenience. So what I want is for this billboard to be positioned so that it's visible through these curtains. This is a wall here where this green is showing, same here. And then there's another window here. So there's 2 ways you can think of this. I'm going to move this, oops, a daisy. I'm going to move this billboard. I go there, I right click and I can select anything that's under the cursor. So I select background. I could try and make this billboard big enough to fill both of these, but when you have a wide window like this, you either get images that don't look right or something that I've forgotten already. So I'll show you what I mean. So I've scaled that really, really large. Does that work? That could actually work for that, although it's too close to the window for the level of zoominess in the background of the image. So here I could just go, there you go. See, the ratio of this is not right for the size of the window, so I could scale that up, but then that kind of defeats the object of moving it backwards. So here's what I prefer to do very often is I'll take an image. If I like this image, I'll put 1 in this half like that, and then I'll duplicate that here. Figure, where's duplicate gone? Can't find it. Edit, sorry, it is. Duplicate background, so that's that same thing. And I'm going to move this half across to here. So you get a different kind of take on this same thing, and I might just move this one forwards just a touch so this is not overlapping it. So I'm going to move this. There you go. So just a quick test render here. And you can see that that's working out the window. So now all I need to do is go back into here and bring that wall back on. And these glass panes, I'm using a simple poser glass material. Let me just load a glass material to show you. Okay, so this is my library. I have architectural materials here, and I'm using just a simple glass here. So that basically, why do I use that instead of a physically more accurate Superfly glass? Because when I do Superfly glass, let me just select this wall, then apply this to glass window. Okay, that's the frame. Okay, that's annoying. All right. Okay, for some reason that didn't apply it to the glass. I don't know why, but I'll just describe it. When I apply a Superfly glass to anything in the scene, it makes that object no longer transparent. Let me see if I can make that work again. Okay, so I'll just apply the glass again. No, for some reason it's not applying to this glass. Doesn't matter. Just suffice it to say that when I apply a Superfly texture, it makes that opaque. And when I want to see behind the glass while I'm working, that's not useful. So what I would do is I'd create this scene with a simple glass, just so that I can get some sense of the opacity and the stuff going on behind. So now when I render this, you'll see what I mean. So now we have these window frames back in. We can see this behind the scene, and you might zoom this, you might move this further back in the Z plane to get the scale right for what you're looking at out of the window. But I could, once I've got that positioned and looking okay, if I really wanted physically accurate glass, I could now bring in my Superfly glass. But honestly, it's not going to make a lot of difference unless you've got a lot of reflections going on. So there you go, guys. I hope that gives you something to think about, and I will speak to you next time.